Thanks for watching Here to Stay TV, powered by Bridge Street. I'm Glenn Hausman at the Global Business Travel Association meeting here in San Diego, and I have with me Mr. Tony Wagner with Carlson Wagonlit Travel, where he serves as VP Meetings and Events for the Americas and the South Pacific. How are you today?
I'm doing fabulous. Yourself?
I'm doing great. Honestly, I really just wanted to have you on the show because I like saying Wagonlit.
It is a great name. You got to roll it just right.
Yeah. So Tony, you know, you're all over the place. I mean, with the South Pacific and the Americas, what are you seeing right now in terms of trends regarding supply and demand out there?
Sure. I would tell you right now that the group demand continues to be very strong around the world. Maybe some soft pockets still in Brazil. They're recovering from a recession, but outside of that, significant growth in demand, which is having some pressure. Even with new supply, it's not keeping up.
Yeah, that's interesting to me. I found that when the recovery first started in 2011 in earnest, group business really lagged behind. Now I'm seeing transient travel starting to slow up, but that group remains really super strong. Why do you think group travel is doing so well right now?
I think what you're seeing is the economy still does well. And most people drive groups to drive top line revenue growth or reward top performers. And so what we're seeing is that cycle continues to go on. When the economy does start going soft, group demand will drop fast. But we're seeing advanced bookings, we're seeing larger group sizes, we're seeing more and more international destinations for incentives.
International destinations for incentives. I think that's a pretty interesting concept. Is that mostly domestic American folks going out, or is it other countries going to other countries?
It's really across the board. So the only place that's a little soft is in Brazil because they've added in a tax, right, on international transfers going out of the country. But I was in Australia 2 weeks ago. 4 or 5 groups going to Europe from Australia. That's a long haul trip, 5-7 days. High interest in those groups. U.S. groups are going to Southeast Asia, back to Europe and the Middle East, and definitely a high demand right now for South Africa.
Why do you think South Africa is in such demand right now?
I think it's one of those life experiences, right? So if you're doing an incentive trip, you're doing a rewards trip, those are bucket list items that, because for a long time that slow recovery, people were not doing them, and now it's really motivating, exciting winners and incentive plans.
So what do you think is the horizon? What are we looking at in terms of trends and how that falls into this supply and demand economic? Because I'm seeing right now with a lot of new hotel construction. It's been pretty robust, but most recently the hotel construction pipeline's kind of slowed up a little bit because of people are having trouble finding folks to build the buildings right now. Is that a good thing or a bad thing in terms of keeping that supply-demand level?
I still think we have a lag in the supply we need in the marketplace, right? So you're seeing overall this group demand continues to grow. The economy has some uncertainties with the tariffs, but at the end of the day, our forward booking, we're seeing more hotels and more requests come back with their clients because they don't have the space.
Wow.
And that forces us to work and consult with our customers on date ranges, right, of what we can look at, different destinations, or in fact, really kind of looking at alternative lodging and locations for their staff.
One of the stories that I've thought about from like the last 10 years, shrinking the booking windows, but you're telling me with so many rooms filled up, is it possible that that's reversing now?
I think what you're seeing is in mid-size and large groups, right, there is just not enough availability if you shrink in. And so we're consulting and we're actually doing some demand campaigns with requesters saying, hey, last year you registered your event for this time, we're seeing significant declines, you need to do that in advance.
Right. Anything interesting that you're learning from your hotel travel partners and your buyers here on the show floor at GBTA?
You know, there's been a fairly large change in the groups and meetings business here in the U.S. marketplace, and that's primarily been around Marriott's leading action on commission cuts. And so it's really ignited this conversation about the distribution channel, which, you know, third parties like us add a lot of value. But what's really a friction point for us and the hotels and our customers is these really small meetings. They are challenging for all parties to really manage, and the cost to deliver is too high. And so we're working with our partners in the large chains to see how can we make that more efficient, more value add.
So does technology play a role in that?
Technology does. The hotels historically have not invested really in their inventory systems for meeting rooms. And I think now that they've cut those commissions, they can reinvest those into those kind of technologies.
Well, I hope so. That'll be great. Any final thoughts, Tony?
No, I think thank you for the interview today. It's an exciting time in the meetings and events industry, and happy to share that with your listeners.
Excellent. Well, hey, thanks so much for watching. For Tony and myself, thanks for watching Here to Stay TV, powered by Bridge Street.